Okay, so hey human world, welcome back to another episode of The Pravachan by Baba Sammisam. And today in this episode, we're going to talk about something that is very special, very deep, and very philosophical and a realistic thing that is self love. And if you think about self love, it first defines you means as a person who you are. Everyone as an individual they exist. Like many times we think that we are somewhere different, हम लोग दुनिया से अलग है, बट नहीं, हम हर एक इंसान दुनिया से अलग है. हम लोग नहीं, हम एक एक इंसान, एक एक से फर्क पड़ता है. So that means that each and every person is an individual, and as that individual you exist, and that's how you define your own self. So for defining your own self, सबसे पहले you need to have something called your self identity. The self identity is always defined by whatever you have in your mind, by whatever you are in your heart, by whatever you do, by whatever your heart, your guts intend, whatever your hearts want you to do, and that's what defines your own self. Many times you get framed or you get just like black labeled. I mean blacklisted anyway. So you get black labeled by people about who you are, and that's how it defines that who you are. But that's wrong, बिकॉज दूसरे लोगों के ओपिनियन से तुम्हारा खुद का कोई ओपिनियन नहीं बनता या फिर तुम खुद नहीं बनते. यू एज एन इंडिविजुअल आर यू, एंड फॉर योर ओन सेल्फ you need to find your own self identity in your own mind and see what all happens behind your head, what all happens behind this massive brain of you, which defines you as an individual and separates you and makes you unique from the whole world. In my previous video about that marks don't matter, I said a dialogue about you are special and you have a purpose for everything. But the thing is how to find that purpose. Like many times we see a lot of people who are way too much proclaimed or like way too much self-proclaimed, either like they are Gyani and philosophical gurus, and they say that we cannot find a purpose for life, because if we find the purpose then that means it's the end of our life. But no, we do have a purpose. Like it might not be a permanent purpose for every time of your life, but there is a purpose that divides you by part. Like in temporary sense, for a short interval of time, you have something called a short purpose. For a long interval of time, you have a long purpose. But never ever misunderstand the concept of long purpose and forever purpose, because nothing, anything cannot be ever become your purpose forever. Your purpose keeps on changing for your life, and according to your purpose you define your goals, you define how you achieve that goals, you define that pathway to reach that goal. And for defining that you need to have something called self identity, as I said that time, because every individual has a different self goal, has a different goal that they want to reach, has a different point of satisfaction where they think that they have achieved everything in their life that I've ever wanted. And that's when it comes satisfaction. Many times people think that okay, this has happened to me, but it's not that special to me, it's not that important to me. And then you think okay, but still this thing has happened. How do you define that? It has no level of satisfaction to you, but that thing happened to you, or you made that thing happen for yourself. No man, देर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड सेटिस्फैक्शन. अपने आप के लिए सेटिस्फैक्शन लाने के लिए सबसे पहले देखना पड़ेगा कि तुम्हारा पर्पोज और ये जो तुम काम कर रहे हो वो तुम्हारे पर्पोज की तरफ फुलफिल करने के लिए हाउ मच इज इट पुशिंग यू. If it is pushing you towards your purpose, then that means that it is meant to give you some level of satisfaction. Even if it's a small, it needs to give you some level of satisfaction, because satisfaction is what in the end gives you happiness, and with that happiness you can always improve your own self. And again, with this own self improvement comes self love, because if a person does not have self love, means loving your own self, having a virtue for your whole life to see what you are, what you want to do, why you want to do that, that all thing comes with self love. And now let's define how this self love comes. It comes mostly through self worth. व्हाट इज सेल्फ वर्थ? इट डिफाइंस कि एक जिंदगी के दौड़ में, जिंदगी के रेस में, हर एक जगह पे तुम खुद कहाँ पे स्टैंड करते हो. देर इज एवरीथिंग दैट एग्जिस्ट अराउंड यू, दैट एग्जिस्ट इवन विदाउट योर इंटरफेरेंस, दे कीप हैपनिंग. सो वेयर आर यू? व्हाट इज योर इंपॉर्टेंस टू दोस थिंग्स? तुम्हारे चारों तरफ इतने सारे थिंग्स होते रहते हैं, सारे चीज होते रहेंगे भी. There is nothing for you to interfere in that. And even if you don't interfere, imagine hypothetically that you die. What's the impact that will have? What is the change that will happen to them? So just think about it. Like when you will have a thought, a real deep thought about it, you will get a perfect thought about what value or what importance or priority do you hold in other people's life. When you find that value, you will realize that this value defines you. This value defines what you can do and what you are. And finding that own value needs some level of self-worth. And when you, according to as much as you keep increasing your self-worth, the people around you automatically start liking you. The people around you want to be surrounded by you, want to be with you, because they want to have people who have more self-love and who are more worthy or self-worthy than themselves. That's why if you want yourself to make new friends, if you want yourself to have a lot of people who care about you, then at first grow your own self-worth. The whole world is running around you. The whole world will start running behind you. They will start coming for you. But for what? Because of your self-worth. Because if you don't have any self-worth, then no one is gonna ask you who you are. Like imagine if today Narendra Modi is there, like the Prime Minister currently of India, and that thing, like whatever happens to him, it becomes a national concern. Like anything to his health or anything, it becomes a national concern. Why? Because he has that level of priority, that value. But imagine in the roadside there is a garib, or like a person who is really below poverty line. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but sorry, the truth offends and the truth hurts true. So yeah, so if there is any garib who lives in the roadside, and if they have any kind of health issues, would that matter to you? Would that have any kind of impact to your own life? No. So why do you care about Modiji? Modiji also had no impact on you. Why do you need to care about him? So there comes the thing of self-worth. And how do you define that? Self-worth needs to be there as a person. Like they don't impact you. They don't have any kind of value to your life. No. They do impact you in some ways. They just don't make you realize that their impact is changing your life day to day, but you just do not realize that they are behind it. They are the person who are making this thing happen to your own life. Such person you also need to be, because see, you just cannot live being alone. Like as you know, as it is a concept of human being, you are born alone, you will die alone. But the life that you live, that does not need to be alone. You don't need to be lonely for a whole life. You can have as many people as you want and make them care for you, make them think about you, make them like you. Why? Because they need to have the realization that you hold some level of importance in their life. And if you don't have that importance, then don't think that they're ever gonna care about you. They are just pretending or just showing off that they care about you. But after a moment, that same care will go away. That will fade away. And in the end of the moments of realization, when you will have hard times, you will realize that there is no one like that who is gonna help you that way. And to avoid that, what you need is self-realization at every moment. See, you cannot like be in your mind when you are in a big trouble. But what you can do is that prepare yourself for the big trouble. See around yourself who all are the people whom you can rely on, who all actually show you that you have some level of importance in their life, you have some level of value in their life. And if you actually realize that people, or you have found those reliable people, then you will realize that these are the people who are going to be with you, who are going to take care of you, even if anything happens. No matter whatever happens, they are going to be with you. And defining these people is the purpose of your life. As I said that time, nobody can define a purpose, but if you find someone who care about you, who means do everything for you, then you have found something, that because you hold that much importance in their life. Now let's talk about the side. Like, this was the one side of the coin which I spoke about the positive aspects of it. Now let's speak about the opposite aspects. Like, many times what happens, if you start taking care, or like if you start defining your self-worth, many people start saying you are heavily self-obsessed. You have nothing to do around for the people around you. You are highly egoistic. You only think about your own self, and that's where it comes. Excess of anything destroys it. Excess of self love destroys your own self. When you have that self love, but at excess, that you don't need anyone, you are happy being with your own self forever, and you are kicking out. You are just moving away all the people who can care about you. Just let me check it. Just let me check if the recording is happening or not. Sorry. Wow, it's happening, man. Whoa, man, 13 minutes. That's a lot. I spoke for so long. Anyways. So, so where was I? Yeah. So when you go for the people around you, they have some level of value in your life. But when you show them that you are way too much self-obsessed, you are just caring about your own self every time, then they will make you sound like you are highly egoistic. You are selfish. And first of all, being selfish is not wrong. Being over selfish and not caring about anyone around you and thinking about your own self every time, that is wrong. See, self love does not mean that you won't be having anyone else around you. It means that you have the confidence that even if the people around you leave you will be able to be stable and survive the same way you were living the previous day. And that's all because of the thing called self-love. But now excess of self-love can also destroy your own self. In the end, you will have a moment of realization where you'll think that what have I done? Why have I wasted my whole life being self-obsessed for a whole time? And this excess can destroy you. And it has destroyed many people. They live in the glory, they live in the aura of their own self, thinking that they are the highly pretentious people, they are the gods. Think of it that way. And that's where the destruction strikes. Because if you think that you are God, who are you replacing then? Do you even know your own identity? Are you God? And that thinking of that, I am the God, it destroys people. And from the beginning, why did it happen? Because of the excess of self-love. That's why, in order to avoid that excess of self-love, you need to have something called loving others. And now this part comes after you. This part will only come after you have some level of self-love and you have defined your own self. You have defined your self-worth. You have realized the value of your own self in other people's life, and you have made other people realize that what value do you hold in their life. After only this much only after happening, you will have something called loving others. Until and unless you don't have self-love, you can never ever be in love. This is for sure. Like, loving others does not mean feelings wise. It means caring for others. It means having others whom you can rely on. As I said that time, trustable people who you think that they are with you forever. And having these people is the main reason why you are alive. Like, first of all, you need to build your own self, your self-love. You need to define your goal. You need to have a purpose. You need to find the path how you will reach that purpose. You need to define your own identity by seeing how your brain thinks and how it is different from every other person on this universe. And how do you define that you have a unique mind and a soul, and you can do anything that you want to without the opinion of the other people. And when you have that, you can now go ahead for self-love destruction. So self-love destruction is like you try to destroy your own self-love. Like, people are born alone. They had no one. So when they are born, they had only themselves, or like until a age of like the parents were with them, like considering without that, they were meant to be alone. They were born alone and they're going to die alone. So in that whole point, what is happening, that you have a particular level of self love from the beginning of your birth, from the beginning, from the first day of your life. But what happens? You see many situations happening around you. Maybe you think that you are guilty for some situations, you are guilty for something bad that has happened to anyone else, that has hurt you way too much, that you just cannot get over that guilt. And if you cannot get over that guilt, you can never live a happy life, because moments will be there when those guilt trip will happen and you just cannot get back or get out of that moments. And for that, you need to have something called self love. So this self love also has a destruction, as I said, and for that destruction you need to first have a realization what is your self love for your own self. How to define a self love? Like when you are asked why do you love someone, you say that there's no reason for it. There's no need of a reason. You love someone for whatever they are, for who they are, for how, whatever they make you feel. That's it. So now consider it in your own words. Like you are the ones whom you love. And think of it. How do you make your own self feel? And when you define that, you will realize you have something called self value. That self worth, self value. In all of this, there's a whole universe that you have created where it is defining you. And this you can ruin the existence of this world, can make the existence of this world go to another levels, can make it happen anything, like change the whole world. And all of this is possible only through the self confidence, the self love that you have for your own self. And for building this, you need to realize that you are special, and begin with this statement: you are special. You are not meant to be dumped, you are not meant to be thrown away, you are not meant to be tossed away by others. You are special and you have a value. And after you find that value, you will have your own self forever with you. So with this, I'm signing off. Baba Sammisam. So, anyways, thanks for listening to this broadcast slash pravachan slash video until the very end, and hope you liked it. And if you did, then please do like and do comment your honest opinions. Please, I don't need those show off opinions like it was good, but I don't have expertise. So sorry, I cannot invest, but I wish you all the best. And I will be your biggest cheerleader. No, man, don't need those things. Just have honest opinion and honest thoughts that you had throughout this video in the comment sections, and I will be reading them and surely replying to them. And if anything that is way more thoughtful about this topic, I will surely be liking and pinning them. And hope you guys enjoyed it. Do subscribe to my channel for more such content. I don't call it content, it's called pravachan. Anyways, so do subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for a lot more gyani pravachan. God, how immature it is to call your own self matured.